Alright, I am here with Ajani, Nacatl, Pariah. It's the 2 mana 1/2 from the new set. It comes with a 2/1, so it's like a 2 mana 3/3 in stats, sort of. And when a cat dies, that is not Ajani, so like the token, it flips into a planeswalker. Pretty cool. Quite a strong, powerful planeswalker for 2 mana. It's pretty cool, and it's not too difficult to flip it, right? And then it starts making tokens, it puts counters on cats, and then it does the bottom thing, which if you do it super fast, like on turn, what would it be, like turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, like turn 5 or something like that, it doesn't really feel exciting to pop that ultimate, but I guess you could. You know, it's kind of a nice tempo thing. But I'm more interested in just kind of making a Johnny a 0 spammy thing. I think that's usually the best thing you do with this thing. But there's probably an argument that sometimes you plus it once and then 0 it, and if your opponent doesn't deal with it, they're kind of screwed. But this is what it looks like so far. I thought maybe just kind of making the deck live is more interesting this time, because it seems like a moderately unique commander in the cards that it plays. So I started with essentially all the things that can protect it starting turn 1, and then anything that can sort of reasonably sacrifice the cat token so you can flip it immediately. Seems an ideal. I don't really know about these two cards, but they just bumped into them, so they're in here for now. Angelic Purge is just another thing to sacrifice it, right? The 3 mana one is fine because you just do it on turn 3. You obviously can't do it on turn 2. Oh, alright, yep, so let's craft those and keep making it. So I can't imagine this is the kind of deck that wants the tapped gate lands, but maybe it's free enough. Mutavolt is a cat. Mutavolt can die and flip your Johnny. That's kind of neat. Red cards that stick in play are pretty useful. I know, like, this doesn't do much if it just sits there and you're not sacking it, but if it is just sitting there, it means you do have a Johnny's thing going. This is, like, always there, right? It can just sit and play, and maybe your opponent never deals with it, so that's just your red permanent. And it's not a bad effect. Depends what kind of creatures I find. Lightning Bolt makes sense to me. I really probably should run Ragavan. I know I didn't want to last time, but this might be the deck where it's just kind of necessary. I think this is just too good to pass up here. It's kind of lame, but I mean, it depends. We'll see how many people concede to it on turn 1, but if that ever happens. Strike It Rich is a good turn 1 play. Additional mana lets me maybe like play this and flip it in the same turn cycle. We can deal damage with a lightning bolt or something on our own creature. It's not simply just sacrifice cards, right? I need a wide... I think I need a lot more than the amount of creatures I have to make this feel good, but it is a red permanent and it does harass your opponent's life total. Aggravated Assault is interesting. I don't imagine it does that much. Do we have enough spells for Young Pyromancer? I don't know. Maybe. Can always take it out. This is probably a Blood Moon deck too. I've never Blood Mooned anybody, but it's I mean, it's a red permanent that sits in play and is pretty good. All right, I'm gonna force myself. We're crafting Blood Moon. We're sending it. I think this is a Blood Moon deck. I don't know how it isn't. Squee is annoying to deal with. Both Squees are pretty good because I can continuously cast them. Right? And it's just a red permanent that's very difficult to stop existing. And, I mean, it's also a creature for the 0. I don't hate that. Haven't played with this in... Oh, I don't even know. When was the last time I played this card? Alright, let's filter by cat. Cathar has proven itself pretty well. It does sometimes become a red card, too. Alright. What about other Ajanis? I mean, this is one of my favorite ultimates because it's slow and painful, but it's proven itself to be pretty bad. I guess I could just put it in and see what happens. And this makes cats with every single land I play. That's kind of neat. But it costs 4, and this deck doesn't really want to ramp or play more. I don't really like this effect, landfall tokens, unless you're playing more than one land a turn. This doesn't feel too exciting. I know the 1/1 counters are interesting if I go wide. It just feels weird. I'd almost rather have an actual 4-drop than making tokens later. This has, like, recurringness to it. The thing is, flipping this is not the reason to run cats, I don't think, because cats, it, like, always comes with a cat itself, so I'm not worried about running cats to, like, sacrifice to this. If that was the case, this commander would be terrible, but it comes with a cat, so you don't have to worry about that. But the plus maybe has value if I find enough cats. So far, I'm not. Ooh, I like Lion Sash. Didn't know it was a cat. What about this? I mean, it's got double strike, and putting counters on a double strike is kind of interesting. I mean, even at... yeah, I can't... See, my 2-drop is almost always Ajani, so it's kind of awkward to add anything that costs 2 for the most part that isn't just casting Ajani, right? So it would be weird to not play this on turn 2 from my hand when I play this. And then, like, I flip the... It would still require me to flip this card the next turn, ideally, which means I'm not playing this turn 3 either. So then it comes in turn 4. Ajani's already flipped at this point, and it missed, like, a +2 if that's something I did. It's a little awkward, right? See how that would, like, line up to not make sense? Mana Tithe is funny, and I don't actually hate it when we're so low to the ground. I don't actually hate it. Path to Exile. Does it have to die, or can it be exiled? It has to die. I cannot path my own token. If Path to Exile worked with Ajani, I would absolutely run this card. This is excellent. It's just sacrifice a creature, rampant growth. That's perfect. I can play the dog. Yeah, a dog saving a cat. Choose a number between 0 and 10, destroy... Yeah, this one. I criticized this commander... Jeez. I criticized this card last time I saw it, but I incorrectly read it. I think this works in our deck, because most of our creatures don't die to it, and there's plenty of things from the opponent's side that do. Yeah, oh right, Changelings. Right. Alright, Faceless Agent is basically free. This makes every single creature a cat, but it costs 4, and costs a lot of mana to then make cats that are not red. So... I don't think that one works. I almost think... Yeah, we probably want Castle Ardenvale, actually. Yeah, I think I want this land, too. I'm just so biased because of the deck weight issue. If I make my deck too, like, good, it suddenly plays against Golos. And Impakal is just good. That's fine. Oh, so is Tajik, actually. We want Tajik. We have Mox Amber, too. Yeah, you'll probably take out 2 lands. I think that's actually... Yeah. The curve basically... I mean, this is more a 2-drop than a 5-drop, right? Yeah. Alright. This is what it looks like to start. Some of this I'm not too confident about, but still kind of fine. We're at 38 lands, right? Our 5-drops are, like, not actually 5-drops for the most part. So, kind of stops at 4. But I think we are somewhat interested in going wide enough where that's something I want to consider, while also, you know, doing the main thing of trying to flip this. So, like, comment, subscribe. Let's see how it works. Yep, that's probably fine. Do I just cast my commander? Or do I cast this first, and then have something to immediately sacrifice to it? I think I'm actually playing this, because I'd rather... If Ajani's going to sit and play for a turn, I'd rather have, like, immediate way to flip it. Which, who knows, maybe that's not possible anyways. They could have, like, 1-drop removal, or 2-drop removal, or 2-minute counterspell. Looks like they had a 2-minute counterspell, but they didn't want to keep it. I actually will just bait out a counterspell with Blood Moon. Maybe that scams them off of a color or something. Well, kind of. Let's play this, find what I think is a cat. Oh, look, it's a cat. Alright, well. Wall of counterspells, but they have no black mana. Let's loot for... I don't think I need this Expel the Interlopers. And I probably don't need Dread Horde. Is there anything worse? We can probably get rid of Dread Horde here. And then play a bunch of random stuff. Sure. Not really upset with that. Looks like they have another counterspell. How exciting. I can cast Ajani twice, though, so maybe that's just fine. I'll just keep casting things until my opponent, like, does something about it. I don't know. Okay. Battle of Baywater. I did not. I didn't filter by battles. I didn't look at the battles. Alright, I'll just play this. I mean, sure. Oh, look, it's a counterspell. Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going upstairs. Let's play nothing, and then just filter this on the end step. Or, like, channel, I mean. Because my opponent can't do anything about it. This also comes with... Oh, no, it doesn't. Impact Tremors got dealt with. It's a sweeper for power 3+. Alright, look at that. Blood Moon won the game, and I never had to commit my commander. We just poked them to death. They had no black mana, and just got completely hosed. I wonder what my opponent mulliganed for. Tune in next time. And then I can play Barrage next turn instead of Ajani. Does that make sense? That depends on what my opponent does. Obviously, killing my opponent's commander is very good. The only thing that undoes that is like Mox Amber, so as long as they don't have Mox Amber, we're fine. Okay, yep, that's a way to circumvent that. So am I playing my commander? I feel like I probably should. Kind of set myself up for this situation. I could just immediately lose 2 perfect swords, but it is what it is. Okay, perfect answer. Why not? Do I have a second? Nope, of course I don't. Well, they only have 3 cards left, so surely they're out of ways to do things. Let's get rid of... I mean, everything's kind of weird. Let's get rid of that. And then play Barrage, so get Sacred Foundry. There's no need to represent a card, in my opinion. I don't think that gets me anywhere reasonable. I'm just going to play this. I don't have any energy cards in here. I don't think I do. Perfect Giver of Runes, perfect 1-minute answer for my Ajani, and perfect way to flip theirs. Jeez. And a perfect red permanent, so now they can kill my 2-1. I feel like everything I do now just literally has 0 meaning. But whatever. I don't even have an untapped land, so I can't immediately flip my Ajani with the Barrage. Maybe I draw one. I do not. Why would I? Let's see. Nothing matters. Just gotta play this. And yep. No untapped red source, so. I think it's time to take out the tapped lands. Well, at least this can't draw a card. Oh, it was 2 seconds from actually adding this to the deck, and I wound up not doing it. My opponent could have flipped Ajani by not swinging, because I have to attack into him. But they chose not to, for whatever reason. Chandra's interesting. Kairi Zev makes more tokens. Okay, that's interesting. At least I'm gathering, like, ideas. And I guess I blocked that. Take 6. Oh, that's kind of unbelievable. I am at 1, though. Let's ossification the thing that creates tokens. And go to combat. Wait, don't I gain life on this? I don't. Tragic. I thought that was a life gain one. It would be insane if I won this game. That would be absolutely insane. Chance creature boon, yep. My opponent had, I mean, what's essentially the best thing you could do as an opener. I lost my swords, though, so if I had to swords myself to gain life, that opportunity is now gone. This game has to make me reevaluate my life. I can't believe I won that. I was so pessimistic. I mean, it's been an hour. I'm drained. I'm sorry. It's been an hour of losing, but what just happened? That's absolutely nuts. That's completely insane. I mean, I guess I think the most crucial turn here outside of the my opponent completely won the opener, right? They had the entire opener. I think what was crazy was the decision to play Tajik over the alternative that turn cycle. I think there was a different thing I could have done that turn, and I think Tajik was just wow. If I had the land though, if I had the land, I could have killed Yawgmoth. And that would have been borderline GG. I think I might have won if they didn't have it. Rather, if I had the land, I think I actually would have won. Because I could have killed Yawgmoth, and then my opponent can't, like, do anything. So, I can play... Wait a minute. Is this Strike It Rich being the best card ever right now? It actually is. Look at that. I kill my opponent's Mana Dork while also flipping a Ajani. This is literally the best thing I could have asked for. Is it good enough? Well, I don't know. I feel like I want to... Alright, I was about to say, I feel like maybe plussing so I have the minus in reserve is actually kind of useful, given what I'm playing against. But at this point, I think I'm actually trying to kill my opponent. But yeah, look at that. Strike It Rich was basically Ragavan. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. And again, most games are probably decided in Tier 1 by turn 4. So I guess that would also then make track as well. Would also make sense. Neat. I beat Nadu. Sort of. Nadu literally had no text on it. Okay, I've played against Jeff the Killer plenty of times in my old age. Alright, well, I have the same combo of cards, except no good combo piece that lets me turn to Ajani, or with a immediate way to flip it, so... Yep. I do have citywide bust. That's kind of good, right? Famous last words. Oh, opponent has a 0 mana card for Nadu. Of course they do. Why not? I did not have to take a damage there. That's my bad. Could have just played a white source and not felt bad about it. Is killing Nadu the right thing? Like, do I just citywide bust next turn? Oh, okay. Opponent has the card that's just better. They are willing to let me flip Ajani, but I'm going to assume that's not a big deal to them. It probably isn't. I don't know if Ajani is fast enough to kill them. Might not be. Can I play a creature? Nope, there's no creature in my hand. Okay. I have a lot of burn, sort of. If they have an answer to my citywide bust, I am in a pickle. But I guess I'm still just sending it. Opponent, of course, has one of those cards. Why not? Oh, wait, never mind. They do not. I thought that would have answered it. Kind of surprised they even bothered casting it if it didn't save it. Guess just a cycle for lands. Yeah, okay, they need lands. They need lands. That's why they did that. Fair enough. Alright. Alright, I made some changes to the deck, and now I'm beating Nadu consistently. That's pretty cool. Have an awkward 2-drop, but so be it. Attacks, counter on it, then you create that many goblins. Sure. Let's see. I'm gonna cast it. If it doesn't work, we can just play a different kind of game. I think that's fine. If it doesn't work. Red has, you know, a lot of answers, so I don't really anticipate it to work. Oh look, it didn't work. Wow. Who'd have thought? Skewer the critics. Whoa. Alright, I like it. Opponent is aggressive. I think I'm winning currently, though, especially with Flage. Like, their commander doesn't... This really, like, kind of sad it doesn't have haste. Really feels like it needs haste. If they just play it, we're in a phenomenal position. Actually, I have a whole wide range of things I can do. Alright, sure. I will probably Pyromancer that. Let's do this on Cat. Actually, no, we don't do this on Cat. We do it on Elder, yeah. And then play you. Oh no, wait, I messed up. Okay. I didn't have a second red source because I named a creature type that I didn't have. I wanted to Young Pyromancer. But this is still equally fine. Like, this is also reasonable. Okay, my opponent found the haste card. I think I'm probably still winning. I'm willing to kill this now because it discounts things, and I'd rather my opponent not cast a 4-drop if they couldn't already. Alright, well, they answered Ajani, but fortunately Ajani does a good job sometimes at not caring to exist. Like I said, if it didn't work, we had a plan B. There's basically nothing my opponent can do to get out of this at this point. Yeah, it's just not really anything you can do. I think I'm on the... Yeah, I am on the draw. So there are counter spells, which is a unfortunate prospect. I would love to see a mana rock or something out of our opponent next turn. Although that would still lead to wash away. It looks like there is Pact of Negation in the hand. Alright, painfully obvious counter spell, so just not going to do anything. Except play Virtue. This is an instant, right? Yep. Oh, of course. Of course. They didn't need the counterspell, so it just turned into a growth spiral. Yep, Pact of Negation. What do I do next turn? What do I do? That's a really good draw. I could simply play Ajani and then just assume my opponent can't immediately win the game. Untapping with Atraxa, it's not usually the case, and this is the last turn to play around that, so let's... the Pact of Negation, that is. Let's just do that. I can just take 4. And if they have a sweeper, well, then they lose their own commander, so... Well, most board wipes, at least. Wow, Arid Arcway in a 4-color deck? You're out of your mind. That's nuts. That is banana sandwich right there. A tapped, colorless land. I mean, it's a good card, I don't know if Atraxa wants to play Arid Arcway. That's interesting. Okay. Let's go find ourselves El Surveil Landerino. Angelic Purge is the ideal card in the situation. Love to see it. Okay, so land, go to combat. Swingies. This is a sorcery, so I gotta do it immediately. At least it always flips a Ajani. Well, I mean, you know, usually. Is this a plus scenario? Oh, it depends what happens. Okay. My opponent does have the mana for that. We were aware of it, so... If I plus, Ajani does not immediately die, and that feels very crucial right now, even though the plus is a little useless. I think I'm just going to plus it. Otherwise, losing Ajani puts me back. So far, I probably lose. Okay, my opponent just had the answer anyways. Excellent. Whoop-de-doo. A card I have never seen in my life. Of course, it's getting played here. I can recast it. I can cast Virtue. Virtue's a little slow, though, so... And pass. So how do I deal with a 6/6 Vigilance that I can't... I mean, I have 2 answers to it, but my opponent appears to have a lot of ways to... I don't really know what kind of Atraxa deck this is. Maybe it's, like, go tall Atraxa? It's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Feel like it's just make Atraxa a giant scary threat. That's an interesting card. That makes me think they do not have just Atraxa as a threat. Okay. Well, of course. Of course not. Well, now I'm losing horribly. I mean, they can't really swing with Vorn. Well, yes they can. What am I talking about? Yeah. No, that's all I got, right? So Ajani flips, and then what? I don't actually have a red permanent, which is kind of nuts. Don't have a red permanent. I think we're kind of screwed. I mean, I have the removal. Just doesn't feel like it matters too much right now. So do I make a cat or do I plus? I mean, we're so far from the any other thing mattering. I'm just going to do this. And I don't think Skrelv swinging makes any sense. Just going to swing like that. Okay, well, as long as they don't have another giant haste threat, we might be fine. Maybe? Okay. Apparently my opponent has something that costs more than 6 mana. So, never mind. Sure. Is our last card a... No, it is not. Okay. Doubling Season. Doesn't really matter for Kiora that much. Kiora's just a thing that sits there. I'm really more poised into finding a red source here. Or a red card. I'm gonna swing like this here. and see how my opponent blocks. I could even swing like this because I have a braid. Okay, I don't know what they were thinking about there. It's kind of interesting. Braid that. And still no red card. Actually, I'm just out of cards. Uh-oh. Let's put the counter here. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is good enough. Maybe if I find a red permanent soon, I can do something, but I need a red permanent really, really quickly. And I also need my opponent to not have, like, a whole litany of different things here. Okay, what does that ultimate do? Each creature you control, loyalty... Oh, it doesn't have an ultimate. Okay. I was about to say, if they had, like, a Planeswalker with a good one, I'd just lose instantly, so... This is a good thing they do not. Red source, please. Of course not. Nothing feels good anymore. When does this flip? I can flip my thing right now, so I probably have to. And yeah, let's make more cats. Which means I can't swing, or I can't cast Virtue, which is kind of ugly. But this lets the Cathar flip, right? And then I can deal with the Traxa on the next turn. And it also gives me a red permanent. So when I get Ajani back, assuming my opponent kills Ajani, and I'm not immediately dead, this kind of works. Still kind of banking on them not having anything. We're like just one solid card away from just immediately losing, so would be the question. I have no answer to Doubling Season. I guess the ultimate doesn't win immediately, but it's profoundly Oh, I'm just dead. I'm just dead. Alright. All they needed was a non-land permanent on top, and then I'm dead that way. Alright. That sucks. Yeah, I don't know. That sucks. I never had a red permanent, but if I ever did have a red permanent, dealing with this would have been pretty trivial at this point, because it doesn't have haste. Technically, this is an interesting one, right? It is like a Strike It Rich. It is a treasure token on turn 1, and that has proven to be very strong. So maybe Goldhound is ideal. It's also a creature. Yeah, I mean, it's everything I'm looking for. Oscillate Pride has also felt very useless. Alright, take it out. It's just one of those one-drop leftover cats. Okay, well, we have Winter Moon against a... Oh, never mind. I was about to say, we actually have a Winter Moon hand. Look at that. And we now immediately don't, because why would we? The one time it was about to do something, it is now not going to. Excellent. Heuristic Study. Did not expect that one. So, I probably play Basriket here. Right? Yeah. You have your Heuristic Study card. I'm just playing Basriket. And I'll put the counter on this. Because if Ajani dies, well, then at least my creature is big enough to swing past Atraxa, and that's pretty useful. They know about swords, so obviously no reason to... Wow! My opponent literally knows about Swords to Plowshares, and they cast that. That's kind of insane to me, actually. That seems a little wild. But alright. You know? It's their prerogative. Let's play this, I guess. I mean, if they have a sweeper or something, maybe this whole line makes sense here. They do not know about Chandra, so I can technically do it again, but they cannot cast Atraxa again, so... Sure, sure. I guess I can get behind that. Let's swing with these. Yeah. Not going to swing with Giver. And I will play around Heuristic Study as best as I can, and I'll plus Chandra for damage. Or maybe a random one-drop that I can't cast because I don't have any mana. This denies Atraxa as well, because it does 4 damage. Surely there's no River's Rebuke. Apparently not. No Cyclonic Rift to respect. Guess we can just go straight to attacks. I will push that because it puts them on a breakpoint where they die to this. They're actually just dead to everything. I will cast this. Why not? Alright, we did it. I was about to say, yeah, there's an argument not to. They take 2 damage, and then I play this and ping them to death by sacking things, but there's a pretty good chance my opponent with 6 mana has a way to not die to that. But yeah, look at that. They played Atraxa in the face of swords, which is a very good sign for us. It means their hand is probably not that good. They also chose to kill my Basriket and might wanted to have killed Ajani instead, but I don't know. Given the situation, it probably made sense to do that because they're just dying to everything at the same time. You might as well take out the harder to deal with thing that technically can win with an ultimate that I got close to. But oh, tragic. We almost had a Winter Moon game for once. Almost actually had it, and then we didn't. Let's see what it would have done. It would have locked down 2 of these, and they had 3 basics, which is kind of a lot of basic lands, actually. Honestly, the fact that they had this, I feel like maybe taking the Winter Moon might have been wrong. I mean, they might have just drawn these, though, right? I don't know. There is a chance they only have 2 of each basic, maybe slightly more, but for the most part, you don't usually do that, so this is unusual, but Winter Moon actually was not that effective, given the situation. Okay, so this commander is one of the most polarizing commanders I've played. The game is kind of decided rather quickly, it feels, right? And that's kind of just an aggro thing. It's just kind of what aggro does. But in Tier 1, that is far more prevalent. It's going to happen, and you're going to notice a lot. Excuse me. Having a Mana Rock on turn 1 was... Oh, jeez, I got hiccups. The strongest thing I ever did. So, Ragavan, Goldhound, Strike It Rich are probably the best cards in the deck. You could maybe make an argument for Protection on turn 1 as well, being borderline the strongest thing as well. Whatchamacallit, Esper Sentinel would be a little weird in here. I mean, I don't think I ever... I don't say would be. It was in the deck. I don't think it ever drew me a card. That's just situational, though, right? I mean, this has proven itself to be a good card. It just never felt like if I had options for 1-drops, this was one of the last 1-drops I'd play. Man, if it was a cat, that actually wouldn't really change that much, to be honest with you, but no, it'd be kind of funny. I felt sometimes I was almost too slow to not have more interaction, so more like burn and stuff like that. Maybe wanted slightly more because I didn't feel like I was fast enough to push past not having a bunch of burn and interaction. So you could go that. You could probably slow this deck down a little bit and not feel too bad because you do have access to white. If it was just red, no, there's no way. But you can run like more white cards, which means you have like less red permanents, and there's definitely an interesting balancing act between how many red permanents you should be running to sort of always have one, while also playing like, you know, the good white cards and good red cards that don't actually have a permanent to put into play. And some of them are so bad that you don't really ever want to run. Like, I didn't really like Impact Tremors. I know it deals 1 damage for all your tokens and stuff and preceding creatures that you play. It's like, yeah, chipping away at your opponent, especially when you're chunking them for like 5 and 6 and 7. But Impact Tremors was kind of awkward, and things similar to it are a little awkward. Tajik is phenomenal. Every red-white X deck probably just likes this card. This is no exception. Oh, maybe not Golos and stuff, but, you know, this kind of strategy, Tajik was phenomenal. The sweepers were excellent. Battle, City-Wide Bust, and Expel are just good. It's kind of nice to be able to run those, and I can't make fun of someone for running them in a creature deck, because those ones don't kill your own creatures. Those are solid. This Ajani was dead in the water, didn't really like it. The -2 recurring this if it died never came up. The plus never really mattered, and I would have never gotten to the ultimate. So probably want the Wandering Emperor if anything in this slot. Probably just something cheaper, and probably red. Outlaws never got to play it, but I do kind of like everything this is doing. It's just harassing your opponent. It plays right into what you're trying to do. It just costs 4 mana, right? And for 4 mana, this is one of the more do nothing ish kind of cards. Like, it's the least impactful of the 4 up cards, and it just didn't feel too exciting. Ashnod's Altar was a little awkward too. I never felt like I was using this to spend mana on anything scary, or really even anything in the same turn I cast it, and that's kind of awkward. It's just an awkward card. It really was just to sacrifice cats, and I think I had enough ways to do that where I don't think this was necessary. I really did not like this card. There's a world where you run it if your deck was way more expensive. And again, I think that probably is possible in an Ajani list here. But all in all, the fact that this is tier 1, I found out after having played it. I guess it's tier 1. I don't really like it because of that. But that's just me. If you like tier 1 stuff, there you go, I guess. But I find myself playing tier 1 commanders that I don't think are tier 1 until I start playing, and I notice I'm playing against all the tier 1 strategies. And I sometimes feel very surprised about that. And this, again, kind of gave me that vibe. This wins very quickly if unanswered. And that's really all it has going for it. If it's unanswered and your opponent doesn't come prepared for it with a 1 and a 2 and a 3 mana card, essentially, your chances of winning are very high. Much higher than probably your average aggro deck, right? And it has a little bit of recovery if you do get answered, which is also nice. But for the most part, it's very, very polarizing. And that's probably why it's tier 1. Because if the game got to turn like 4 or 5 and I didn't have really anything going on, other than like a Johnny still probably sitting there, or maybe even if it did flip, I did not feel like I stood a chance against the tier 1 strategies. Like, Golos ignored me. It just ignored me. Golos just played all, like 5-color lands, mono green, because that's the best thing you can do in the game. Screw the other 4 colors in your 5-color deck. And then once they had 5+ mana, they just started playing large spells that were not green that made me look like I wasn't even playing the game, like sweepers and bounce spells and removal and large giant creatures I can't answer. So certain tier 1 strategies actually felt like they could completely ignore me, which is kind of nuts, right? Like, if I don't have a way to sacrifice this and it's just sitting there dealing 3 damage a turn, and then I play another creature and maybe I'm getting like 5 damage a turn, they can very reasonably ignore you. 5 damage a turn does not kill your opponent that quickly, and then once they're at 7+ mana, the game is done. They're just going to do something that makes you look like you were not doing anything in the meantime, right? And you never even flip this. It's going to feel even worse. So that's kind of rough, right? And it kind of led me to feeling like scamming people was the best thing to do. If we're trapped in the hell queue, you are kind of forced to try to scam decks like Golos or automatically concede to them. So if I could Winter Moon a Golos player, then that's like the best thing you can do. You just put this in the command zone if you could, really, against Golos. It's same with Blood Moon. So yeah, scam wins was like the best thing to do against certain tier 1 strategies, and that is a terrible sign for a commander. I really don't know if this belongs in tier 1, but it probably is a little too obnoxious for like the lower tiers, probably. Although for some reason I found myself playing against this quite a bit in lower tiers, so I don't actually know what's up with the Johnny, unless it just got changed or they set it somewhere where they think it settled in a better spot. I don't know. But as it stood, it just didn't. It felt like what is it? Too good for tier 2, but not good enough for tier 1. So it felt like what is he? Geist of Saint Traft. Not good for tier 2, or too good for tier 2. Terrible in tier 1. Absolutely terrible in tier 1. This was not terrible in tier 1, so it's not that crazy, but it was like lower the bottom, lower of the food chain of the tier 1 decks. It still plays a lot of unique cards though, which is kind of cool. I like the cards it plays, even though you don't really get to play a whole bunch of them in the same any one given game, but I like the strategy. I like it for what it's doing. It's cool. It's kind of cool. I would like to see this in paper, though, where you have like access to every card in the game. I wonder what Ajani looks like. I feel like this is a very, very scary card on paper, normal EDH. But here, it's it's just dealing with the polarizing turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 thing that tier 1 just does. And if that's not your thing, don't play this. So let me know what you thought about my list. It changed a lot since the start, and probably when I took some cards out. So whatever it looks like when I upload it, it might look a little different than this. Let me know if you got ideas in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.